On today's episode of The Unseen World, we head to Memphis, Tennessee to uncover the forgotten history of Millionaires Row and the prominent families that helped shape the city.
Sometimes people think we're just this crazy haunted house, which is not true. Think of our historic message, our historic mission as the main course, and then any kind of spiritual energy, residual energy, just kind of like a fun little side item or dessert, if you will. But if anybody wants to come see some beautiful antiques and hear about some cool 19th century stories and early 20th century stories, this is the place you need to be in Memphis. Hey, my name is Georgia Cooper Sprague. I am the Tour Operations Director here at Woodruff-Fontaine House Museum.
The Woodruff-Fontaine House Museum opened its door in 1964. This fully restored Victorian-era styled house is one of the few remaining mansions on Adams Avenue.
This was the house to two prominent families. They were not related. First it was the Woodruff family. They sold to the Fontaine family in 1883. The house was completely restored after many years of it being vacant. It was fully restored in 1961.
Built in 1871 along Millionaires Row, this French Victorian mansion was home to two prominent Memphis families.
The Woodruff family was originally from New Jersey, Mr. Amos Woodruff. He came down to Memphis around the mid-1840s. He wanted to expand a very successful carriage-making business he had in a town called Rahway in New Jersey. That's about 25 miles outside of New York City. He was starting to hear rumblings of this city down here that had been perched on the river mouth, the fourth Chickasaw Bluff of the mighty Mississippi. And they knew that the gentlemen up there that were operating businesses, they knew this was a good opportunity to get in on the ground floor of some opportunities available down here in what had been a largely untapped Mid-South area. So Mr. Woodruff said, well, I'll just go get some of that. And he comes down here and he is able to parlay his successful carriage-making business into other ventures, including railroading, cotton, of course, everything from hotels to insurance to banking. So when he had to sell the home in 1883 due to financial losses, he sold to Woodruff-Fontaine. Woodruff-Fontaine was a very successful cotton factorer. Memphis has never grown cotton. We've processed it starting back in the 19th century. We're, as you know, neighboring state to both Arkansas and Mississippi where cotton was grown, so it was brought to Memphis and processed. Mr. Fontaine owned one of the most successful cotton factoring, and it was also a wholesale grocery business. It was one of the most successful, actually it was the most successful in the United States at one time and about the third largest in the world. So Mr. Woodruff-Fontaine wanted to move his family to this home. In 1883 he knew that Mr. Woodruff needed to sell because of financial reasons. So they purchased it in 1883, and he and his large family moved in, and were here until Mrs. Fontaine died in 1928. That put the Fontaine family being here a very long time. Mr. Fontaine died in 1912, but Mrs. didn't die until 1928. So that put their family here around 46 years. They raised several children throughout the years, and they were very happy, very prominent family here on what was once known as Millionaires Row, Adams Avenue.
In the 19th century, it was prestigious for cities to have a Millionaires Row where they could show off the wealthy families that lived in the city. Wealthy, prominent families could show off their wealth by having these beautiful homes constructed. Adams Avenue became Memphis's Millionaire Row.
The 19th century became so about, just excess and wealth, and these gilded families, as they called them, were keen to show off their wealth, show off what they could have achieved and what they could give to the community as far as the wow factor, if you will. The Fontaines were no exceptions, neither were the Woodruffs or any of these other folks that lived here on Millionaires Row. So like I said, it was very fashionable in the 19th century for large cities to have a Millionaires Row, because they can say, look, we have this area of town with the most prestigious, wealthy families in our city, so we're going to name it Millionaires Row. So Adams Avenue here was Memphis's Millionaires Row, and there used to be about 32 of these lovely mansions that lined Adams Avenue back in its prime.
Stay tuned. The unseen world will return. Now, back to the unseen world. Amos Woodruff wanted the absolute best for his family when he decided to move to Memphis. He hired Edward Jones and Matthias Baldwin to design and build the house in 1870. Edward Jones was known for his Victorian-era architecture.
Edward Jones was a well-known architect out of South Carolina. He was known for Victorian-era masterpieces. Now, his partner here in Memphis was a man named Matthias Baldwin, and together Mr. Woodruff contracted them to build this lovely home. Mr. Baldwin, being from New York City, they knew with the combination of their firm, they would get both the architectural style that Mr. Woodruff was seeking and the panache that was starting to happen with Mr. Jones, his wonderful reputation for these European-inspired structures. So together the team was very profitable. They were both very well known throughout the 19th century architectural land, and it was deemed an honor for Mr. Woodruff to have those folks come and design and build this beautiful home. They were highly sought after, in other words. So Mr. Woodruff wanted the best to build this home, and that's what he got. It is beautiful. And fun fact, for anyone who's ever seen or visited or seen even the exterior, the beautiful center tower feature you see this in 3 homes here on Adams Avenue. Ours, the Mallory Neely a couple of doors down, and the James Lee next door. Now, both of those mansions were built before this one. However, the center tower feature was something that was added on those properties after this home was built. They were very keen on having this type of tower, and I guess it was a keeping up with the Joneses thing, as that is said today. It's like, wow, we want one of those. And I know that Baldwin and Jones did the one next door at the James Lee. Not sure who the architects were for the Mallory Neely expansion with their tower, but it was definitely the same architectural firm that built this home that did the tower on the James Lee. Mr. Woodruff was from New Jersey. The northeast part of the country, obviously at that time, was the most developed part of the country. That's where most of the wealth was. And this was a very stylish, trendy type of architecture. And he wanted this. He wanted this for his family, for his wife Phoebe. He wanted the latest and greatest and most innovative style. And that's why the combination of the two architects really worked. It was a bit of southern charm through Mr. Jones with that northeastern style of architecture that Mr. Woodruff was used to and wanted for his home here. And it was one of the first free floating staircases is here in our mansion. One of the first in the city, that is right here in our mansion. He's like, I'm gonna wow these folks and show them this is how we do it New Jersey style.
In 1925, Rosa Lee, daughter of James Lee Jr., established the James Lee Memorial Academy of Art on Adams Avenue. She wanted to share her love of fine arts with the city of Memphis. In 1930, Rosa purchased the next-door Woodruff-Fontaine home and immediately donated that to the city for future free art school expansion.
James Lee Sr. was he was kind of like the big daddy of the steamboat industry back in the 19th century. He had massive steamboats. It was like he had the largest one on the rivers that day. It was kind of like the Titanic of the riverways. His son, James Lee Jr., also worked with him in the steamboat business. Now, he purchased this home. First it was the Harson family, then the Goyer. They were intermarried. And then comes James Lee Jr., and he wanted a home for his family on Millionaires Row and purchased that home. And it was his daughter, Rosa Lee. They had several children. I think they had about 9 children. And it was his daughter, Rosa Lee. I believe she was the oldest. She was the one who put out the effort to begin an art school scenario. She wanted to give her love of fine arts out to the city. And what better way to do that than, hey, I'm a wealthy lady, I can open a portion of my home as an art school, and that's exactly what it was, and named for her father, the James Lee Memorial. Not sure when he passed away. Rosalie herself started the art school in the back portion of her home back at the end of the 1920s, anywhere from like 26 to 28, I believe. Now, it was already a thing, it was already going on. The stock market crash of 29 kind of made her speed up her effort to further get her love of fine arts out to the city. She was offering a free fine arts education. That was something you don't come by too easily. So in 1931, she purchased this property from the Woodruff-Fontaine children. They'd actually had trouble selling the property after Mrs. Fontaine's death due to said stock market crash. So Rosalie apparently had $25,000 extra laying around in spite of the stock market crash and the financial difficulties now facing the country. She purchased it in 1931 with the sole purpose of expanding her art school. So, boom, both of these properties become the James Lee Memorial Art School, later changing to the Memphis College of Art that resided in Overton Park for many, many years. Sadly, it closed in 2020. It started next door, spread over here. They had an offshoot across the street, across Adams over there at the corner of the Pillow McIntyre Mansion. So this was a happening art scene out here. And it was all because of Rosalie and a lady named Florence McIntyre that lived over in that corner home. Florence McIntyre is the one that took up guidance of the home after Rosalie passed away in 1937. So it started with an idea.
Stay tuned. The Unseen World will return. Now, back to the unseen world. In 1960, the Memphis chapter of the Association for the Preservation of Tennessee Antiquities began public efforts to save the Lee and Woodruff-Fontaine buildings from demolition. The Woodruff-Fontaine house opened to the public in 1964.
It was around close to the end of the 50s when the APTA found their sites here. Once the art school moved out, it was like, wow, the bulldozers were going crazy under the city's direction. And the APTA, along with some local folks, one of those notably was a man named Luke Eldridge Wright, who lived across the street. He and the APTA decided, enough is enough. We need to kind of stop this madness. All that money that had been out here for so long that made this area so prominent and affluent, all that money had died away or moved away. So this just wasn't that place anymore. That money was just gone. So the city of Memphis saw no need in keeping these mansions around, and some of them had been abandoned for so long, they were crumbling and they'd become community hazards. So when the APTA decided to save these, they had to go to the city and ask them to hold off the bulldozers, because technically Rosalie had deeded the properties to the city and they owned them. So she put a stipulation though, as long as the art school needs them, the city of Memphis was not to touch them. She knew, even back in the 1930s when she drafted her will, I'm sure that she knew things were going to change. So she put that stipulation in there carefully to make sure that they would be here as long as the art school needed them, so the art school's safety would be intact. So fast forward a couple of decades, sure enough, the art school's finished, they're moving on to greener pastures. And the city's like, well, we held up our end of the bargain. We didn't touch them, but now the art schools, they're gone. So here we come. The APTA fortunately talked them out of that. They said, give us a little bit of time, see if we can raise some money to restore. And that's what happened. That's what kicked it off. And the city of Memphis even pitched in some money to help with the restoration. It was a joint effort. The APTA, they were the ones that called off the bulldozers and said, yes, we can start a restoration, with the intent being both properties of James Lee and here. They decided to start here first because there was less damage. The property, once the art school had vacated in '59, the property actually was vacant for about 2.5 years before the restoration could begin. And with the neglect that was already here while the art school, they didn't have money to do all the maintenance required. So once they rolled out of here, they left behind a hot mess, and then vandals and squatters and just animals, whatever could, that wanted to come in could and did. The house was just basically was left deserted, so there was plenty of opportunity for nefarious deeds.
Stay tuned. The unseen world will return. Now, back to the unseen world. The Woodruff-Fontaine house also has a reputation for having some kind of spiritual energy. Some might even say it's haunted.
Oh man, yeah, we get asked that all the time. And usually with guests, I'll say, well, it depends on who you ask. But if you're asking me, because I'm the one sitting here talking to you, I can tell you that through my years here, it's been 7 going on 8 years, there's some energy. I always kind of hesitate to use the term ghost, haunted, spirits. I will say there's some energy, some residual energy, and I firmly believe that some energy does not want to leave the earth as much as other energies, like, okay, fine, whatever. So yes, through the years, even before I started, even before my coworkers started, even before this crop of current volunteers that we have, that we love so much, even before any of us were here, past administrations the stories have rippled through the generations of the energy that goes on here. So much so that there's certain activity that we've assigned to certain family members, not us personally, but others that came before us, family members from both the Woodruffs and the Fontaines, and maybe just somebody that's happened to stop by for a visit or came in on one of our lovely pieces of donated antiques. So yeah, there's some energy.
While several occurrences have been reported, it is said that Molly Woodruff Henning and Elliot Fontaine are the most prominent spirits.
Now Molly, probably why she resides here so much and why she is felt and heard so often, she had happier times in her lives as well as the sadder times in her lives right here under this roof when she was really coming of age. So I think that's why she's so prevalent. Other incidences, we think of Elliot Fontaine on the 3rd floor. He was restless. He was only 34 years of age. He died in the world's last pandemic, the great influenza, the Spanish flu. He was 34 years of age. He was well known, wonderfully social. He was just one of those characters that just full of life. Everybody knew him, everybody loved him. And we believe his spirit probably maybe still resides mostly where he was on the 3rd floor because he was supposed to still be here. He shouldn't have been taken away at only 34 years of age. So Elliot is said to be very prominent on the 3rd floor. Mr. Fontaine himself, right here in this ballroom where we're sitting. Mrs. Fontaine, me personally, I think I've experienced both Mr. and Mrs. Fontaine in this room as well as upstairs in the 2nd floor outside what would have been their bedroom. Sometimes you can think you hear something you didn't hear. Sometimes you can think maybe you saw something out of the corner of your eye. But both myself, my co-worker, Jennifer, and others before us have had experiences that you really just can't explain away. Well, we're open Wednesday through Sunday for public tours, and it's a lot of fun to come here and interact with our docents and just tour and look at the beautiful antiques through the home and hear our stories. And it's easy too. Sometimes people think we're just this crazy haunted house, which is not true. Like I said, that's kind of, think of our historic message, our historic mission as the main course, and then any kind of spiritual energy, residual energy, it's kind of like a fun little side item or dessert, if you will. So, yeah, we want to be known for more than just being the place on Adams that's haunted, but it kind of comes hand in hand. But if anybody wants to come see some beautiful antiques and hear about some cool 19th century stories and early 20th century stories, this is the place you need to be in Memphis.
Stay tuned. The unseen world will return. Searching for more episodes of The Unseen World? Then look for It's Real Good TV online or in your favorite app store to get free, unlimited access to every episode of The Unseen World. Stop hunting and start binging with It's Real Good TV, available anywhere you watch TV, online or on your phone. Just search for the app or visit itsrealgoodtv.com. Start streaming now. Now, back to the unseen world. If you would like to tour the Woodruff-Fontaine House Museum, please visit woodruff-fontaine.org to plan your visit.
good.